Hi students, how are you all? I hope everyone doing well. In this video we are going to learn about direct and indirect speech that we simply call reported speech. What is that we call? Reported speech. Reported speech are divided into two. One is direct speech and another one is indirect speech. So before going to know between direct and indirect speeches, let us first know what is speech. So what we need to report, what we speak to report is called speech. So basically this speech we express in two ways. One is direct speech and another one is indirect speech. So we use any one of these two speeches to express our idea to someone. So that is the difference between direct and indirect speeches. Okay students, so direct speech means speaker's original exact words, and indirect speech means speaker's words explanation. So that is also one of the main important difference between these two speeches, direct and indirect speeches. Okay students, and I have written one example on the board. Let us see here. Example: Adya said, I am busy now. It is DS. DS means direct speech. DS means direct speech. Adya said, I am busy now. So here we are getting two parts. What is that? Here we are getting two parts. It is one part and it is another part. So out of the inverted commas, whatever we get sentence in that is we call reporting verb. What is we call this? Reporting verb. So in between inverted commas, what we have, that is speaker's original and exact words. So that's why we call that reported part. What is that? Reported part. It is called reported part. So it is reporting verb and it is reported part. Okay students? Okay students, are you understanding me? So it is reporting verb and it is reported part, and what we get in these two parts. In reporting verb we will get who said to whom, and in reported part we get what said. What is the speaker's exact words that we get in reported part. So it is always in between inverted commas. That is very important, what we have to, and we must notice very carefully. Okay. And also one more thing, this reported part, it may be in present tense or past tense and future tense, and also it may be assertive sentence, imperative sentence, interrogative sentence or explanatory sentence. That is very important. So according to that position, according to sentences, according to tenses, we have to change their changes in indirect speech. Okay dear students, that's why I'm telling you, and I would like to repeat once again. It may be in present tense or past tense and future tense. So every time we won't get present tense sentences only, every time we won't get past tense, and every time we won't get future tense sentences only. So, and also if we think as sentences, every time we won't get assertive sentences. So sometimes we get interrogative or imperative or exclamatory, and as well as assertive sentence. So that is based on question. So according to those rules and regulations, we need to change direct to indirect. So that is very important to notice. So whenever we are going to change a direct speech sentence into indirect speech, we have to think and find out what kind of tense we have in reported part, and also what kind of a sentence and what kind of a tense. These two are very important to find out, to change into indirect speech from direct speech, students. So I hope you got definitely some idea about this. Okay. So speech is a language. Speech means language. So without language we are not able to express our ideas with anybody. So how the language is taking a great contribution to express one person ideas to another person. So without language, how difficult to express our ideas to others. It is unbelievable, and we can't guess what will happen if you don't get a language among the people. So people using good language according to their religion, if that is a English, Malayali, Gujarati, Punjabi, whatever it may be. So but they are using language to express their ideas. So for example, we are talking in our mother tongue, Telugu. So if you don't have a Telugu language between you and me, how can I express my feelings to you? And how can you express your ideas to me? That is not possible. So, but every time we are using two ways of speeches to express our ideas to opponent. So either we are choosing to express our idea direct speech, or we are choosing indirect speech to express our idea to our opponent. Opponent means the person who was listening our words, okay, who are receiving our words or listening our words. So that is the importance of language, that is the importance of speech. It takes that's contribution among the people. Okay students, now let us see here sentence. First, assertive sentence. We are just talking about assertive sentence. If we get assertive sentence in reported part, so reporting verb, how can we get? So direct speech, said becomes in indirect speech said, and also said to. If we get in reporting verb said to, it becomes in indirect speech told, and also if we get in reporting verb say or says. So sometimes if a sentence starts with the third person singular subject he, she, he, it, definitely we need to add s form to the verb. Otherwise rest of the subject definitely we use only say. So if we get say, we write in indirect speech say. Otherwise if we get says, definitely we need to write says in indirect speech. The same thing in reporting verb, if we get indirect speech says to, definitely we have to write tells. Otherwise if we get only say to, we have to write tell. Okay students, and also we are getting conjunction in this sentence that to remove inverted commas in indirect speech. So in this video I just would like to teach you all the rules and regulations of direct and indirect speech. Okay students, that's why I'm doing that work. So in assertive sentence, reporting verb, what are the changes takes place in indirect speech from direct? Okay, if we get said, that becomes in indirect speech said. If we get said to, that becomes in indirect speech told. If we get says, that becomes says. But if we only get say, we have to write in indirect speech say, but not says. Okay, if we get says to, we have to write in indirect speech tells. Otherwise if we get only say to, we have to write, and we must write in indirect speech tell only, but not tells. Okay, if here we are getting s form, we need to add s form in indirect speech also. Okay, if you would like to remove inverted commas in indirect speech in assertive sentence, we are using conjunction word, that is that. Okay, so these are the rules all about assertive sentence. Okay students, now you see second kind of sentence, that is interrogative. You know students, interrogative sentence divided into mainly two types. One is yes or no questions and also WH questions. Yes or no questions means always this question starts with helping verbs. For example, are you watching this video? It is yes or no question. Answer should be maybe yes. If you are watching, you can answer me yes. Otherwise if you are not watching, no. So it is these kind of questions we call yes or no questions. Can you talk to me in English? So if you are able to talk to me in English, your answer is yes. Otherwise you are not able to talk to me in English, your answer is no. So these kind of questions is we call in English yes or no questions. Already we learned about yes or no questions in 8th class. Okay, so I hope you have an idea about that. And WH questions means it always starts with WH, what, where, when, why, how also included in WH questions. That is also very important, what we need to remember very carefully. Okay students, see, yes or no questions or WH questions. But in these two questions, whatever it comes in direct speech, in reporting verb we get said to, asked or says to, any one of these three. But instead of these three, we must write in indirect speech based on question. It is inquiring or asking or wanted to know. So if you want to know or ask or asked, whatever it may be. So based on that, we must write in indirect speech asked, questioned, inquired, wanted to know, asked. So these are the indirect speech words to write in that. So if we get any one of these three indirect speech, if that is yes or no question or WH question, whether that is yes or no question or WH question, we don't mind, but we will get any one of these three definitely in indirect speech, and we have to change that indirect speech as asked, questioned, inquired, wanted to know, asked. So based on question. So I will definitely explain you that when I am going to explain in examples. Okay, don't worry about that and don't bother about that. Okay, but conjunction word is different. Yes or no question. If you get yes or no question, you have to write either if or whether. Either if or whether. Choose any one. So that is no difference. Where should we use whether and where should we use if? Don't mind that. So instead of if you use whether, that is correct. Instead of whether also you use if, that is also correct. Okay, definitely there is no problem about that. But WH questions, if we are getting WH question in reported part, definitely we have to start with WH question word in indirect speech, like what, when, why, where, how, etc., etc. all WH question words. Okay student, I hope you understand this. Okay, so once I would like to repeat, SR questions and WH questions. Interrogative are two types mainly. So if you get said to, asked, says to any one of this, we must write in indirect speech asked, questioned, inquired, wanted to know, asked, any one of this. But we must be very careful when we are removing inverted commas in indirect speech, because if that is a yes or no question, we have to write either if or whether. But if that is a WH question word, we have to write to remove inverted commas in indirect speech, what, when, where, how, so like this, why, whatever it may be. Okay, situation. So students, these are rules about interrogative sentences, how to be changed from direct to indirect speech. Okay. Now let us see the imperative sentence. It is the third type of sentence in English what we have. So these are the rules. If we get said to in reporting verb, we have to write in indirect speech requested, ordered, suggested, commanded, advised or asked, whatever it may be. So what are the perfect word to write in indirect speech based on the question. So in the question, is that a commanding or requesting or ordering or whatever, suggesting or advising or asking, whatever it may be. So based on question, we have to write any one of these words in indirect speech. And in this sentence, in this imperative sentence, we need to use not to or to remove inverted commas in indirect speech. Dear students, inverted commas we get only direct speech, and we don't repeat inverted commas in indirect speech. And indirect speech doesn't have at any time itself inverted commas. That is also one of the important rules. Okay. So these are the rules of imperative sentence. Okay students, in this only we get said to in reporting verb. So based on this, we have to write any one of these in indirect speech. Okay. Now please look at the explanatory sentence rules and regulations in reported speech. Said to. So if we get said to in reporting verb, we have to change that into indirect speech exclaimed every time exclaimed plus with plus joy or wonder or sorrow. So these are only changed, but exclaimed plus with every time it comes in indirect speech in exclamatory sentence. So joy, wonder, sorrow, these are only based on question. So is that a sorrow situation? We have to write that in indirect speech, sorrow in exclamatory. If that is a wondering situation, we have to write wonder. If that is a joyful, happy situation, we have to write joy in indirect speech in exclamatory sentence. And also in this sentence we need to use that to remove that conjunction to remove inverted commas in indirect speech. So these are all about exclamatory sentence rules and regulations. So please students, do not forget to note down every point in your notebook according to one by one as my teaching. Okay. So students, now we have learned about sentences and their direct speech positions, how they changes in indirect speeches. So everything we have learned, and let us see now how the tense and its verb change from direct to indirect. Okay. So students, just before we learned how to get changes from direct to indirect speech in reporting verb. Now we are looking into reported part. So how reported parts also takes changes from direct to indirect. And now we are going to observe tense and verb. Tense and verb, how it takes changes in reported part. So that is very important. Okay, students. So students, now you see please, tense and verbs, how it changes in reported part from direct to indirect. If we get do or does in direct speech, that becomes in indirect speech did. Do, does becomes in indirect speech did. If we get V1 or S form, so V1 means go, S form means goes. So whatever it goes, if we get in direct speech, that become in indirect speech V2. V2 means went. Simply it becomes went in indirect speech. Next, is, am, are. These any one of the helping verb becomes in indirect speech was or were. Plural form, if we get or in direct speech, that becomes were. So that is the situation. Next, have, has. If we get have or has, that becomes in indirect speech had. Otherwise, if we get have been or has been, that becomes in indirect speech had been. So otherwise, V2 or did plus V1. Of course, did plus V1 means V2. So if we get directly V2 or if we get did plus V1, whatever it may be in indirect speech, that becomes in indirect speech had plus V3. Okay. Was were. So this direct speech helping verbs becomes in indirect speech had been. So had plus V3. So it won't get any change. As usual, it becomes in indirect speech had plus V3. Same thing had been also. It samely becomes in indirect speech had been. But if we get shall or will in direct speech, that becomes in indirect speech should or would. But if we get can in direct speech, that becomes could. May becomes might. Shall or will plus have, that becomes should plus should or would have. Okay? Can have becomes could have. May have becomes might have. So dear students, these are the changes how they can change from direct to indirect speeches. Okay? So please note down this table and learn and by heart by yourself. Okay? And now see the words, students. Change of pointer words. So these are the words what we get in direct speech. These words becomes in indirect speech like this. Okay? If we get ago in direct speech, that becomes in indirect speech before. Here, that becomes in indirect speech there. This becomes that. These becomes those. Today becomes that today. Tonight becomes that night. Tomorrow becomes the next day or the following day or the day after. So any one of that. Yesterday, that becomes in indirect speech the previous day or the day before. Next month or next year, that becomes the following month or the following year or the next month or the next year. So it becomes in indirect speech like that. Now, direct speech, if we get now in that becomes in indirect speech then, just becomes immediately. So these are the pointer words how they change from direct to indirect speech. This table also very important, and please note down every table and learn rules and regulations, and in the next video I will give you and I will teach you in examples. Okay students, thanks for watching this video and we'll meet again in our next video. Before going to off it, I would like to tell you one thing, and very soon we are going to meet in GeoMeet app. Already I said you in the yesterday video. And one more thing, buy your books. Most of the students still you did not buy books, so that is not good, because books helps you a lot. Book helps you a lot. So books help you a lot. So please buy your books very quickly as possible as from you. Okay, so please do these two works and don't forget to note down every point in your notebook carefully and wait for the examples in the next video. Until then everyone, keep smiling and keep learning. Thanks for watching this video once again.